Yay! So, welcome. I'm Karen, and this is one of my favorite topics right now as a health coach. I am doing a lot of these nutrigenomic testing and then actually doing functional health labs so that the nutrigenomic testing tells us what your possible higher impact health issues might be, and the functional health tells us what's actually happening in real time in the body. So it's very fun, and I just love what I do. And I love to educate and take you on a deeper journey for your health. So one of the things I love about what we're about to talk about tonight is that I've heard, and of course, like I've been in the medical industry for a long, long time, and people just think that one size fits all, and they ask me, well, why isn't my body responding like everybody else's is? And I'm confused about the conflicting advice, and maybe I'm just getting older, which I do not accept. And what doing the right functional analysis helps you is you can understand why your body is unique. And as Dr. Zeus, I always like to say the Dr. Zeus saying that there's nobody youer than you. You're unique. And to find out which of the areas of health, and I'm going to cover a lot of the different possibilities, but which need your attention? Like what is the highest priority so that you've got a blueprint to follow and a roadmap. So that's what we're talking about tonight is a roadmap. And these are the questions that I get asked the most as a health coach. So which exercise works best for me? Which supplements do you actually need? A lot of people are taking supplements, but it's a bit hit or miss. They're not being very targeted. And why am I either gaining weight or resistant to releasing weight? And your DNA blueprint can tell you that. And why is inflammation keep coming back? Why do I need more vitamin D than someone else whose vitamin D level is just fine, but I supplement and I just don't seem to be able to get my vitamin D level up. And that has everything to do with genetics. And caffeine, why some people can drink coffee right before nighttime sleep and it's fine. Other people have to stop by noon. And that's all in your genetics, which is really interesting. And you really want to prevent disease before it starts. So, what what nutrigenomics is, and I will explain what it is it's the missing clue to understand what your body truly needs. It's like a personal guidance for the right nutrition and the right exercise and the right sleep and the right supplements because one size does not fit all. So we've got a few people here, and as I told you, I love to do polls. So I've got this poll that I'm going to open just to give me an idea of how much you know. So it's a fun little way for you to engage on your computer there to be able to answer this question, how much do you know? So how familiar are you with nutrigenomics? I've never heard of it, or I've heard the term but don't know much about it, or I know a little, or I've already had my genetic testing done. So let's have a look at how we rate, and I can see the answers, and then I will be able to show you the answers. Hi, Polly, everybody that's joined, just put yourself on mute if you would. Silvana, great to see you. Oh my gosh, Karen Drucker's on. Hello, Karen. Hello, Karen. So let's have a look. Okay, so I'm going to end the poll now and I'm going to share the results. So let's have a look. So, well, you've all heard about it. Most 63% said I've heard the term but don't know much about it. 38% I know a little, and it doesn't look like anyone has had their genetic testing done as of now. So that's good for me to know. So I'm going to stop sharing here and just say hi to everybody that's just joined. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. We're going to have fun tonight and learn lots of really cool stuff. So the other thing about genetic nutrigenomics is you only have to do it once, because your genes are your genes are your genes. So I'm assuming most of you know me, but I think it's always good for me to just let you know a little of my background, because anytime you hear anybody speak, you want to know where they come from, where their background is, what's brought me to this point today. So, yes, I guess I still have an accent, and I went to medical school in Australia. I was a GP down under in primary practice and really loved that, and moved to the United States for a man, and still married to that same man. Can you believe? For 30 plus years, happily married, and we have six grandbabies right now. Six. Life is so good. And thank you, Anne. And then I went on, when I came here, I felt like there was this missing gap in medicine, that they didn't address the psychology. So I did a master's degree in psychology. And then I founded my own wellness business in 1997 because I just couldn't go into the managed care system. I just color way too much outside the lines and want to explore what creates health. And it's just the disease model is just not where it was best for me to be. And I became a health coach. Can you believe, in 2000? That's 26 years ago. My gosh, I just can't believe it's that long. And I went to the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. I know a lot of people in my wellness circle went to IIN because, again, medical school does not teach you much about nutrition. So I added the nutrition piece. And then I got really excited about this question of one size does not fit all. And so I began this Nutrigenomics training in 2017, which is nearly 10 years ago. And I just loved it. I love the insight it gives me to work with clients and then target their wellness plan. It's fabulous. I love it. My clients love it. And then I've trained other people to do kind of work like I do. So I really just love the wellness industry, and my big passion is teaching you to create health. That's what I love, love, love to do. So you are here, and I'm so glad. And here's what we're going to do tonight. So first of all, we're going to just address this thing about genes are not your destiny. And then we're going to talk about how you can stop guessing and start personalizing your health based on this nutrigenomics report. And then I'm going to give you a little glimpse. Of course, I don't want to overdo the content tonight. I'm not going to bombard you with science. I want to keep it so that it's really understandable about how this field of nutrigenomics can help with physical and mental health. And then take your first steps, whatever that might be for you, into nutrigenomics. So let's get started with the first one, that genes are not your destiny. And I love this picture. And please, you already know that. If you're here with me, part of my wellness circle, you probably have given this some thought, that lifestyle is such a huge component of whether we get sick or whether we stay healthy. And genes, there are certain, what we are not talking about today are genes like blue eyes and brown eyes. You can't do anything about it. What we're talking about is these little proteins that sit on certain genes that can be switched on or off. So the genes are like light switches. You can actually activate them or you can switch them off. Now, that's not the case with blue eyes and brown eyes. These are very specific genes. And guess what? You do not have to know any of the gene names for this to be profoundly transformative. So I'm just going to introduce some terms. Epigenetics. Epi means above. So this switch, switching on, switching off, epi is the light switch. Epigenetics is the study of how genes can be affected by the environment, affected by what we eat, how we sleep, how much stress we have, what supplements we take. So this is epigenetics. And the good nutrigenomic companies know the very specific genes that have the most powerful impact with the environment. And that's what I'm going to show you, of how genes are selected for these kinds of tests is based on how impactful we can switch them on and switch them off. And nutrigenomics, as it sounds like, is a relationship between nutrients, diet, lifestyle, and gene expression. So just a few terms. Just think of that light switch, switching on, switching off, and probably doesn't surprise you that what we eat, whether we eat this kind of stuff or this kind of stuff, has different effects on our genes. And more for some people than others, depending on what your DNA blueprint says, which is why, yes, there are some people that have, say, on the inflammatory pathway, have such strong anti-inflammatory genes that they can afford to get away with eating this stuff and not have as big effect as some other people. So it's not right or wrong, it just is. And once you know your unique DNA blueprint, you can customize exactly what's right for you. And here's an example. The biggest example I get asked about is Alzheimer's. So there is a risk allele. Now, please listen to me. This is not a gene like blue eyes, brown eyes. This is I'm going to call it tonight a risk allele, which means you have the potential that if you follow certain lifestyles, it can be switched on or switched off. That's really important. Don't let anybody tell you that there's an Alzheimer's gene, and if you have it, you're destined. That is wrong information. But you can see if you have this risk allele, which is part of pretty much every nutrigenomic test. And what that means, if you have this risk allele, especially you have the double one, because we have one from our mother, one from our father, then it can significantly increase your increased impact of Alzheimer's disease. So what does that mean? Okay, so say you have the gene variant. Say you find out that you do have the gene variant. Then we've got to get busy and learn how to switch off that switch. So how you switch off that switch and go to have the same risk as someone that does not have the allele or has a normal ApoE4 is number one, exercise, aerobic exercise. It's good for the brain and it's good for switching off the ApoE4. Also, if everyone can switch off their this sound. That's one good thing about
And not just business, it's their relationship.
Okay, hold on a second. We have someone that is speaking. Okay, now it's off. Thank you. Curcumin, you've heard of that? Turmeric. Oh my gosh, powerful anti-inflammatory. Turmeric, fish oil. Now I'm just giving you, this is what we talk about after you'd have a test. And if you see you have, especially if you have the double allele, then we get really busy about setting goals around curcumin and fish oil and stress reduction and healthy sleep and antioxidants. Stable blood sugar, super important for the brain generally, but especially if you have this allele. Don't drink or smoke, healthy diet, lifestyle. So the message is you can switch off this allele. And it's a good thing to know if you have it or not. So then you can take action with your lifestyle. I pull this up as an example because this is the one that gets a lot of attention. And you know, I don't even know if 23andMe still exists, but they added this ApoE4 to their test, but they didn't have any counseling. And so someone would get this and then they would find out they had this ApoE4 allele, but not understand what I just explained to you, which to me is it's bad medicine. It's bad science. You've got to understand. And that's why the testing that I choose are ones that I love the report and that gives us really concrete information that we can use. So nutrigenomic testing can reveal genetic risk. Here's this risk. Alzheimer's, diabetes, osteoporosis. I happen to have, in my DNA report, very high impact bone on bone health, which means my bones break down potentially at a higher rate than someone that does not have that allele. So what do? I do a lot of strength training. I protect my bones. I don't drink sodas. I make sure I get good vitamin D and calcium, all those things. So it gives us information that we can target our wellness programming. And even vitamin metabolism, I mentioned earlier, people that just have trouble, vitamin D is a big one. Genetically, you might have a poor ability to increase your vitamin D. So it means you need a higher level of vitamin D supplementation. weight loss resistance, appetite dysregulation. Then there's the mental health side, depression, anxiety, cognitive health, including memory, heart health. So lots and lots of things that this testing can reveal. But here's the thing that's super, super helpful. Again, you don't have to know anything about the genes. What we want is to know which need my biggest attention. So it's color coded. So when you see the deep purple in a report, this report that I use, it means, okay, that needs our immediate attention. And then anything that's the green is lower level impact. Now, it's not good or bad. And even on the exercise side, you can learn about whether you're better at endurance or strength or power, recovery. So the colors all tell us something. But generally, the colors that want our immediate attention are the deep purple. And then there's the lighter purple as green. So you'll see every one of your 60 plus markers, gene markers, that are color coded. So here's another question, because I love these polls. Let's see, I'm going to go back. Okay. Oh, I like this one. Okay. So here's the question. If your DNA could answer just one question about your health, what would you ask? Would it be, why can't I lose weight? How can I prevent disease? Which supplements of food are right for me? Or why am I always tired? What do you think? All right, I see a lot of answers coming in. A lot of answers coming in. Okay, we have 11. Okay, nearly everybody has answered. Okay, I'm going to end the poll in just a second so you guys can all see. All right. All right, share your results. Here we go. Here's the results. 18% said, why can't I lose weight? 45% said, how can I prevent disease? 27%, which supplements and foods are right for me? Yes, targeting those. And why am I always tired? 9%. Great, 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 great. So thank you for completing that. That's really helpful. Okay, so here is another example, because what I'm trying to help you with is the power of what we're talking about tonight. And I love this example. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the agouti mouse, but this poor little fat yellow mouse has an abnormal agouti gene variant. And when this little mouse has this variant, they have a yellow coat, they're extremely obese, and not surprisingly, they have a high rate of cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and cancer. So they did this experiment. This is one of the most profound experiments in nutrigenomics, one that I use a lot when I'm speaking about this topic. So they wanted to study the effect of dietary supplements. Remember, we talked about the switch. Supplements, certain supplements can switch things on, switch things off. Effect of dietary supplements on pregnant mice with this normal agouti gene variant. So the pregnant mice had this gene variant, and they wanted to see methyl-rich supplements, the B vitamins, folic acid, B12, betaine, choline. So they put the group A, these pregnant mice, they didn't give them any supplementation. And group B, they gave them these methyl-rich supplements. Now, you're going to hear about methylation. Not a lot tonight, but in the DNA world, methylation, very important chemical reaction. All you need to know is methylation is crucial for DNA synthesis and repair. So they gave these pregnant mice methyl-rich supplements. And look what happened. The group A, these are genetically identical agouti mice, genetically identical. But this group mamas did not get the methyl-rich supplements, and this group mamas did. So in visual form, you can see the effect of the methyl-rich supplements switching off this effect of this agouti gene that gave them the yellow coat and the obesity and the cardiovascular disease. So that's Nutrigenomics in action. When methyl groups attach to a gene's DNA, it changes the behavior, the proteins, and DNA and genetics is very complex. And the more I dig into it, the more it's like, whoa, this is big science. But to get the benefits on a daily basis, you don't need to know all the fancy science. You just need to understand how there are certain genes like this agouti one that can be switched on and off by lifestyle. Maternal methyl supplementation reduces the incidence of obesity, diabetes, and cancer. So I hope you keep that visual in your mind because an enriched environment can override certain genetic mutations. And I wrote this book, I don't know, so many years ago. I'm probably talking about 15 years ago. Your lifestyle is killing you because genes may load the gun, but your lifestyle pulls the trigger. And that's what I want you to know. I want you to know your unique blueprint and the way your gene expression is switched on or off because we're all different. And I'm going to show you actual examples of a report so that you can see the power of this in action. It doesn't affect the underlying gene. It just does the switch on and off with nutrition, stress, emotions, like all aspects of our lifestyle. So let's have a look at this next goal of ours, which is how do you stop guessing and start personalizing your health? So in nutrigenomics, we develop your unique genetic code, which looks at your best prescription for diet, lifestyle, and supplementation. And then there are so many tests on the market. Now, it looked like from my earlier poll that nobody has done one of these tests before. So when you're thinking about doing this, you've got to really kind of be very consumer. You've got to have the right questions to ask because a lot of tests, they test the genes, but then it's like, well, what does that mean? I have no idea what all these fancy numbers and names are. And I will always go looking for the right report. And I've been doing this for nearly 10 years now. And I've recently changed the report that I use because of the visual beauty and clarity of the report that every one of my clients gets. You could literally get this report and yourself just, oh, I see. Oh, I see. That's what you want. You don't want a whole list of genes. You want the so what factor. So people do this nutrigenomic testing because they got concerns about their family history or just improve their general health, or you want your priority areas, you want to know what should I focus on first? Get a targeted action. Or a health coach like me that likes to use these tests to personalize lifestyle action. It makes compliance, takes compliance to another level because we understand the why we're doing something. So when you're looking at a test, you want two things. You want genetic variations, and I mentioned this earlier. The genetic variations that are tested are the ones that have significant effect on health and susceptibility to chronic disease, like that ApoE4 that I mentioned with Alzheimer's. You don't want to test every genetic variation there is. The ones that have the clinical data that show the lifestyle has an effect. Plus, you want a test report that translates directly into lifestyle action. Those two things, when you're looking at nutrigenomic reporting and choosing one, you want to be sure that the test report is usable. So one of the reasons I look at a test report, what I'm looking for is physical health issues, so individual genetic variations associated with certain chronic diseases like osteoporosis, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's disease, anxiety, depression, and then mental health, genetic variations that might trigger that you are more susceptible to mood issues or memory or anxiety or cognitive decline. So I want both of those things in my report. And what I thought it would be useful for you to see is what a report actually looks like. So this is the report that I've recently moved over to. I would say, I don't know, it's been a couple of months now. Because what I know is we learn best visually. And they have the most beautiful reports that, yes, they're testing what we want to test, like methylation, inflammation, oxidative stress, detoxification. But they put it in these beautiful visuals that make it easy to understand, and they explain what it is. So when you get your PDF comes to me as a practitioner, but then I explain it and then send it to my client, and it explains what in a very simple term, like methylation, very complex process. Methylation is a crucial process that helps turn genes on or off. It plays a key role in cellular function, detoxification, overall health. Simple explanation. And notice the colors I mentioned. So anything that's the deep purple is very high impact. So that's where we want to start first. Anything that's this, whatever color you might call it, greeny color, is medium impact. And then there's even beneficial genes, yay, that show you that you've got genes that work overtime for you in a really good way. So I always like to point those out. So everything is color coded. And then the whole report has these visual images. So this is a client that appetite and satiety on the energy overview was a purple area, high impact, meaning likely they get hungry all the time, appetite constantly on, and it takes a lot of food for them to feel full. Whereas I might have another client this is very low impact, so there's much less food on that plate. Like the visuals they give you actually show what's happening for you. So we might work on appetite and satiety and goals to be able to regulate that. And I would talk about certain foods and exercise and sleep, and we'd work around that if the client wanted to. And then this pro-inflammatory fat, it's only a more medium impact, but these are fat cells that are more prone to inflammation, which is one of the big issues about weight resistance. If somebody says, I eat everything right, I exercise, I just don't seem to be able to lose weight, then we want to look at inflammation on the cellular front. We want to lead at detoxification, and we want to look at this pro-inflammatory fat and adipogenesis, which is the potential to actually readily store fat. And we put all that, we paint a whole picture of what's happening with this weight loss resistance. We do that together. And then this is an interesting one on the nutrients overview, caffeine. So in this case, this person is low impact. So they're a fast metabolizer of caffeine. So they're likely to feel the effects of caffeine quickly, and also the ergogenic effects, which is you can use caffeine a bit before you exercise and you actually immediately get that beneficial strength effect. Whereas if someone is high impact, slow metabolizer of caffeine, then they don't get the immediate effect and it hangs on a long time. So you probably already know that in your body, but this would show you why people have different caffeine responses. I'm just giving you little examples here. And then iron overload is kind of important to know. If you have an increased a genetic tendency for iron overload, because then we want to look at your iron and your total iron binding and your ferritin. We use the labs to match, we get very targeted with the labs to match what we're seeing in the DNA report. So these are I just want to show you what the report I use and why, because it's so self-explanatory. And then there's gluten. Always on a genetic report, you want to make sure they test the allele for gluten. Now, this one is low impact, which means low potential for gluten-induced gut damage or celiac, but they still might have some, it's low, they still might have some sensitivity to gluten. But I have some people that for the first time they see very high impact then. So they definitely want to eliminate gluten. I think it's good to eliminate gluten generally, especially the kind that we have here. But this is your genetic tendency to that. And then here's that vitamin D story that I was telling you about. Some people have a high requirement. And then there's a salt sensitivity. These are just little examples I'm giving you of what you will find in this report. And then I'm really interested, if my clients are, in your activity overview. What's the ideal exercise for you? So this again is low impact. This is training response. So this person, and look, they're trying so hard and not getting results because they don't have a normal response to VO2 max, which is getting really good oxygenation when they're exercising. So it's just really, really hard. And they are also very prone to injury, but they're very good at endurance. You have above average endurance potential. Power might take longer to respond to power training. So can kind of gauge the right exercise that's right for you, that matches your DNA, or that if you do want to do power, might just take longer. Okay, so I know this is a big slide, but I wanted to make sure you saw all the areas that are covered. So for this 3x4 test that I do, there are 36 what we call pathways. We talked about inflammation, methylation, glucose and insulin, bone health. And then there's your cardiovascular pathways. There's energy pathways. We looked at appetite, satiety, weight gain, weight loss resistance. Then there's your activities, and then the nutrients. This is all included in one. Now, a lot of the last testing company I used, one of the reasons I switched was you did one test for this part, the cellular pathways. Then there was a separate test for the appetite, satiety, weight loss, resistance. And there was a separate test for the activity. And by this time, it's like test after test. This is one test. It does it all. And it gives it to you so that you can decide which of these that you want to focus on now. Because remember, you only have to do this once in a lifetime. And so your interest in this might change. You might look at your test 5 years from now and say, I want to work on my best training response now. And that may not have been your high priority when you immediately did the test. So this is yours for life. Okay, so the pathways are listed like this. Again, you don't have to know any of the details of what they all mean until we do our one-on-one and I can explain. But the purple, deep purple, are the highest priority areas. The lighter colors is not as big an impact, but that doesn't mean you don't want to work on some of these. So I have people, they might want to work on their inflammation, even though it's not on the very high. Now, if I see methylation very high, I've got to tell you, that is an immediate attention. And I myself have this methylation is very high because I have the BMTHFR double allele. And so I need to check my homocysteine levels on a regular basis, which if you don't know what that is, then that's really important for you to learn about homocysteine. And that tells me how well you're methylating. So all part of a kind of functional health approach. And then the nutrients that we looked at before, here's your caffeine, this low impact. Fatty acids, low impact, but vitamin B, the high impact ones, we want to make sure B12 is, if you're not, your DNA is telling me that this is very high impact, then we want to make sure we do blood tests to gauge that, to monitor that. So it does gauge blood tests very well. And then energy, weight loss resistance in this case, are very high. So that might be where we want to work. So I had the DNA, the two tests that I use the most in my clients is the DNA and then the function health labs. So DNA tells me what might happen, but the labs tell me what's happening now. And you might, when you get a DNA report, we might pick out certain labs to do right now, like homocysteine, B12, based on what your DNA is saying, and to track those over time. And this is an inflammatory marker, vitamin D, of course. All of these is gauged on what your DNA is telling you. Okay, so we've covered a lot of information. Now, what are we going to do now? I think I have my last poll. Okay, let me get my poll here. And my last poll is launch. Okay, so I get an idea of all the information I've shared with you after today's webinar. What's your next step? Like, what are you feeling in terms of just this information? Are you ready for a personalized nutrigenomic blueprint? You'd like to know more about nutrigenomic testing? Yay. Or I have questions. I'd like to schedule a consultation. So those are the three things. Just click on which one speaks to you. And I will show you the results in a minute. And this helps me because for those people that want to learn more about nutrigenomic testing, then I have on my website, I have under programs, I have a whole landing page about nutrigenomic testing, I have other webinars that I've done. So there's other ways that you can learn more. All right, so I'm just going to end the poll in just a minute, just a minute, just a minute. Okay, share the results. So most of you, you're seeing the results now. You'd like to learn more about nutrigenomic testing, 92%, yay. And questions, can schedule a consultation, 8%. So all you have to do, of course, is reach out to me and just say, hey, I'd like to schedule a consult, and we can talk more about what you're looking for and what's the best fit for you. So let's have a look at taking your first steps. So this, you'll see, this is the three, just so you know how this works, because I want you to understand how the nutrigenomic testing actually works, whether you use this one or use another one. This is the 3.3 by 4 blueprint. That's the name of the test that I use. And it covers all of these things: mental health, weight loss resistance, weight management. And what I do is, once you have the test and it comes into my portal, I schedule a Zoom call to go over the test, because I want my clients to understand and utilize the test so that they go away empowered with a definite action plan. And so on the Zoom, we talk about diet, lifestyle, nutraceutical interventions based on what the DNA report says. So basically, we take 3 functional health priority areas. It might be methylation, it might be weight loss resistance, it might be blood clotting. It's up to you what you want to specifically focus on. You don't have to take the high impact areas, but it makes sense that you do. And 3 lifestyle actions, 3 dietary actions, 3 supplement actions. That's why it's called 3 by 4. There are 4 here: the priority areas, the lifestyle, the dietary, and the supplement recommendations. And I've never seen any test that actually gets that specific and that practical. So 3 metabolic pathways, 3 diet recommendations, 3 lifestyle behavior interventions, and 3 targeted supplements. And that's what you walk away with. So you actually have a blueprint. Now, this is what happens no matter what test you do. I order the test, it gets sent to you, and you actually do a cheek swab, which is lovely. You don't have to prick your finger. It's a cheek swab. And then it's sent in, and it's sent in into the United States, which is nice. The last test I used was from Finland, so it's kind of nice to work in the US. And then the data comes back to me, and then we set up the Zoom to reveal your results and based on the impact that you saw. And then you have a clear, personalized plan. That is super important in any test that you decide to do, that all these things are met, that you don't just get a report and then it's like, oh my gosh, now what do I do? And the 23andMe, which is started many, many years ago, gave a report, but didn't really explain. It wasn't really nutrigenomics. They did not have a lot of alleles that they used. It wasn't that comprehensive. But we've come so far in really the science of nutrigenomics. So whenever I do a webinar, I always offer a discount on the testing that I do. And right now, the nutrigenomic test, the whole 36 pathways, and my Zoom consultation is $597, but it's a $100 discount for webinars, my webinar special up until this Friday, and which will be the 24th of July. And I'm going to put in the chat box the link. So let me just stop sharing here for a second and pull up in the chat box the link for the webinar special. And I've just coded it so that the special goes and through the 24th. Let's see, message to everyone, paste. Let's see, okay, that should be in the chat. Do you guys see that in the chat box now? Yep. Thanks, Anne. I see that. Okay. So it's that's not it. That's not it. That's not it. Pull this back up here. Whenever I get out of these things, it's always so hard to come back in. Here I come. Here I come. All right, here we go. All right. So that's the webinar special, the personalized health plan, the nutrigenomic test, and the 45-minute review call on Zoom. And I put the link in. Can I apply to both myself and my head? Yes. So I'm glad you're asking questions. So please ask questions here and I'll be able to open it up. So each of you would have a test done. Of course, you would do separate tests. But what I can do is for who's that was asking for Polly, if you and your husband both want to do it, I thought it was you, Terry, because you and your husband are both there. If you and your husband want to do it, then what you do is reach out to me and we can probably get a discount for 2 tests. I can reach out and probably get a discount from the company. More than happy to help you with that, Polly. So please email me. Oh, hi, Polly. Email me. I'll send your email here because when you send 2 tests to one place, I think there might be a discount, but I will check with them where they're up to with that right now. So Polly, that's my email I put in the chat. So just reach out and we can set up. I'll find out from the company first and then I'll reach back out to you. So any other questions, either put in the chat here or you can raise your hand on your cute little Zoom screen and I'm happy to, you can unmute and ask. So any other questions? I'm sure you have a lot because we covered a lot of information. Let me see in the chat. Questions or comments? Why don't you put in the chat? This will be fun for me.
I have a question.
Michelle. Yeah.
I didn't know how to do the hand raise thing, but
I see your hand. Your real hand is
on the
good.
screen. Okay. I was just curious, does the company or you do any kind of follow-up to see changes in the testing or how it, follow up in any way?
So explain a little bit more. You mean
to follow up? Well, you said that the testing that's done is tests forgot what you call them, the little cells on the DNA that trigger these actions.
Yes.
So if you follow certain suggestions that you can affect that.
Yeah.
So is there any kind of follow-up to know how effective your changes have been in your
Oh yeah. Yeah,
your future
totally.
possibilities of that?
Yeah, good question. Okay. How do you know it's working? I guess.
Yeah, I could have said that more simply.
Yeah. How do you know it's working? So you have your nutrigenomic report, we have our consultation, we set our lifestyle plan. Now, part of the lifestyle plan will probably be some labs.
Right.
It doesn't have to be, but like say if insulin resistance or glucose is a big issue in your DNA, you probably want in 6 months' time to have that repeated. That'll be all part of the plan. Whatever I recommend that you do 3 months or 6 month follow-up. And you can certainly work with me in that time if you want to, but we'll have definitely a way to assess if it's working or not. Yes, it'll be in your report.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but that's a really good question. Someone asked, how does this differ from the testing done at Sonovive? Sonovive, hi Helen. Sonovive does not routinely do DNA nutrigenomic testing. It's something that you would do, say you did it before you went to Sonovive, and then you would take it to Sonovive is a functional medicine hospital, by the way, if anyone doesn't not know, in Mexico. And there would be a great, in fact, I had mine done and then took my report to Sonovive so they could look at my high priority areas. Yeah, but they don't do it at Sonovive. They do labs, but not this. Yeah. And St. Polly says, I'm leaving. And family. All Okay. Yeah, I'll reach out. I have your email, Polly. I'll reach out to you. Yeah, I'll reach out to you. Good to see you. Recording. Yes. Paula, someone's asking for the recording. Yes, everybody will get the recording. Everybody that registered will get the recording so that you can listen back, share it if you like. It'll take a little while. I would say probably tomorrow morning you'll get the recording. Any other questions? Yes, Polly. Hi, Polly.
Hi, this is different than the functionality test that you talked about in your webinar or your workshop the other night.
Oh, yes. Oh, you're from my boot camp.
Yes, yes.
Wow. Yes. So the function, yes, it is different. These are the two tests. So the function health testing, and I'm doing another webinar at the end of August about the function health, which is the 100 plus biomarkers that you can order and then get a 6-month follow-up. They're lab tests. They're lab tests that tell me what's happening right now in your body. This DNA test is a test that shows me your genetic predisposition to, say, glucose imbalances or bone health or Alzheimer's. It's a test you do once ever in your lifetime, but it helps target what labs you need. Two separate tests. And as a health coach, if I have someone do this DNA testing and we've got the labs to match up, I can see you can see these two things marry so beautifully together. Yes. Other questions? And let's see, I do have the function health testing in case anybody's interested in knowing what I'm talking about there. Copy. I will put that in the chat box. Chat box here. Paste. There we go. And when I send you the recording, I'll be sending you some other resources too. So always know that you can always reply to any email that I send out. You're part of my wellness community, and I'm happy to share anything that I have that can help with what you're specifically looking at. And I did this test. When did I do it? Oh man, no. I always do what I'm recommending to my clients. So I was saying to you, methylation. So I don't know if, let me just explain this because it might be more science than you're used to. So methylation is the ability to DNA synthesis and repair. So as you can imagine, DNA is kind of important for everything and certainly for aging. So if we're not repairing our DNA, then we're going to age much faster. So methylation helps support DNA synthesis and repair. If that's not working properly, there is a blood test, and I'm going to type it in here because if that's the only thing you do as a result of this webinar, then that is a big step forward for you. And the blood test is homocysteine. I'm going to type in the chat box there so that you know the actual name of it. Now, doctors won't order this. And insurance will probably not cover it because insurance is all about disease. We're talking about prevention here. Homocysteine is elevated when you're not methylating properly. And you'll want your homocysteine around 7. And mine was 17, which is way more than that's ideal. So I had to make some certain changes, and I was able to do that. And then retest, to your point about, I think Michelle was saying, well, what do you do to follow up to see if it's working? Well, in this case, you want to retest your homocysteine to make sure the methylation pathways are working. And it came down to 7, exactly where you want it to be. So that's what we will do, is to look at what you need to do to get to the ideal level. And that's why the blood tests and the DNA work so beautifully together. Homocysteine is part of the function health tests. And I think Quest charges about $75 for a homocysteine test, which is terrible. But you want to find, there are ways to get cheaper blood tests too, directlabs.com. You can actually direct to consumer labs if you want to just do individual labs. Let's see. Will the chat be in the recording? That was your question. I don't know. I don't know. But I'll make sure you get all the links in your email. Yes, yes, yes. All the links. Okay. Any other questions? Questions? Thank you for hanging in there. I hope you found it. Oh, Michelle, you have another question. So unmute.
Yes,
There you
another
are.
question. You mentioned earlier that there are places on your website where we can get additional information about this. Can you just kind of direct us?
Yes, I will. That's a really good question. I will show you. I'll pull it up and then I'll share my screen. Share. Here we go. Okay, so the website is drkarenwolf.org. drkarenwolf.org. I'll put it in the chat box, so you know. And under programs, health and wellness genetic testing, right here. There. And this tells you a lot about the blueprint, kind of like I talked about. There's a sample report. There's a full sample report for you there that you can look at your heart's desire. You'll recognize some of these slides. And also, under programs, you'll see function health testing, because I mentioned that tonight. So you can have a look at the function health testing and what that is all about. And you can also find under resources, you can find a lot of videos. I think I have a lot of webinars here on, I have a webinar here on, if you're interested in Alzheimer's disease, there's a really good webinar on women and Alzheimer's disease. But I've got a lot of videos there that potentially can help you understand that a little bit more. And then, of course, you'll have this recording. This recording and what I'm sharing is just the nuts and bolts of what nutrigenomic testing is really your best understanding of, in as simple terms as possible, on what nutrigenomics is about.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. All right, any other questions? Thanks for hanging in there. Lovely to see you. Thanks for sharing your screen, the folks that came on, and look for probably tomorrow the recording and the special that will go through to Friday. So reach out to me with any questions. Just respond to the email and I'll get right back to you.
Thank you, Karen, for
Thank
everything you
you.
shared. It was really interesting.
Oh, good. I'm
Yes.
so glad. I'm so glad.
I look forward to the recording.
Okay, who was that was just said that? I didn't see you.
Anne.
Anne, oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you. Oh, there you are. I see you. And your palm trees. All right. Okay.
I don't know
wanna
how
say-
that got up there.
I just,
I said, I don't know how that got up there.
It's your Zoom background. The palm tree. Yeah. The sea is there and the palm trees are just blowing in the breeze.
Yes, it's really nice today too. We're having king tides from the El Nino
Oh, yes.
down here, so the surf is really big.
Wow, beautiful. Oh. All right, everyone.
thank you for the
Yeah.
good information.
You're
'Cause
welcome.
I've
Thank
heard-
you.
Welcome. Bye-bye.
Have a great
Bye.
evening.
Bye-bye.